How's it going, everybody? Machalo. Let's go over 11 different ways that you can dodge the draft legally just in case anything comes up in the near future. Now, some of these might require a little bit of forethought, a little bit of planning ahead of time in order to pull off successfully. But let's go ahead and go through 11 different ways that you can dodge the draft legally and keep yourself safe and out of a conflict that you have nothing to do with and you want no part of. So number 1, be a conscientious objector. This means that if you're a Jehovah's Witness or you're like Amish or you're a Mennonite or you're a part of some sort of pacifist religion and you can show a history of that, then you can honestly call yourself a conscientious objector. And if you're not part of one of those groups right now, well then right now is the time to join in. Now out of all of these, Jehovah's Witnesses, Mennonites, Amish, Quakers, I'd want to be Amish. You're going to learn a lot of skills if you're Amish, but you got to learn how to speak German. You probably have to move to Pennsylvania, but you'll learn a lot of skills doing it. Number 2, just make up a health condition. You got gastritis, ulcers, hepatitis. You don't even have to make hepatitis up. Just go to a public restroom and lick the toilet for a while. Anemia. Anemia is really common. In fact, there are medications you can take that will actually mimic anemia, well, actually cause anemia for a short period of time. So you can get a legitimate doctor's note for anemia. Apparently, the U.S. military is pretty strict when it comes to accepting enlistees with medical conditions. If you have something like anemia, they're going to reject you outright until they get really desperate. Number 3, have children that need you. I don't know if I recommend that. I don't know if I want a whole bunch of people having kids just to avoid the draft, but apparently men with children and families who depend on those men for their livelihood are in a lower draft priority than single men or incels. So if you're an incel, right to the front line with you. Number 4, I don't want to get demonetized here. So if I say number 4, be a sexual, or number 4, if you're a man, like other men romantically. That should, back in the 1970s, that worked. I don't know if it works today. I don't think it does. If anything, that's just going to cause more camaraderie within the squad, right? A couple of lovebirds in there with their guns. Number 5, run away to Canada. I guess this is what people did back then, but upwards of 40,000 draft dodgers fled to Canada between 1965 and 1975. Many stayed in Canada after the war's end, and some even stayed after President Carter pardoned them, all on his first day in office. So that's interesting. I guess these aren't technically legal. It's illegal to go up to Canada and stay there if they'll have you, but you're going to be, apparently you're a criminal down here on the record, and you can't return unless you're pardoned by the president. Number 6, go to college. I guess back in 1972, it was less typical for people of that college age group to be all in college. I feel like everybody's in college now, so I don't know if this would work quite as well. It says student deferments were very common ways of beating the draft. Apparently Joe Biden had 5 deferments. What a draft dodger. And Bill Clinton had 1. Dick Cheney had 5. Dick Cheney, that is hypocritical. Number 7, have a high lottery number. Hey, when the lottery numbers are handed out randomly, just get yourself a high one. That way you're not picked. Duh. It's the same way you solve homelessness. If you're homeless, buy a home. This is how the draft worked. 366 plastic capsules, each with one date of the year, were dumped in a large glass container, then drawn, opened, and assigned sequentially rising numbers. The first capsule was September 14th, so all men born on that date from 1944 through 1950 received the first priority call to duty. Oh, man. How unlucky would that be? I guess this is an efficient way to have birthdays within your troop. If it's somebody's birthday, it's everybody's birthday. You just get one big cake for everybody, and that's the one time you do it throughout the year. Number 8, hold an essential civilian job. So what you want to do is get yourself a job that we as a country literally can't do without. Maybe a garbage collector, or a police officer, or do they list any? YouTuber, probably. Number 9, get married. In 1965, Lyndon B. Johnson changed the draft law to allow married males to be drafted if they didn't have children. Okay, so this is kind of the same one as that one up there, which said have children that need you. Hundreds of couples on the West Coast ended up in shotgun marriages just to avoid serving. A shotgun marriage is where the dad of where you knock up a girl and the dad of the wife is marching you down the aisle with a shotgun to make you get married. That's why it's called a shotgun marriage. But in this case, the man would definitely want to get married in order to avoid serving. So who's holding the shotgun? because in this case, it sounds a lot like the guy's holding a shotgun to the girl to get married. Number 10, forge military ID or reserve papers. Some men in northern states formed groups which made fraudulent National Guard or reserve papers. Men could acquire these papers and take them to the local draft board to be relieved of their obligation. Okay, so this is definitely not a list of legal ways to dodge the draft, but this seems like a pretty good one. Just forge some military ID papers, and then when you get your draft letter in the mail, take your forged papers down to the enlistment office and be like, hey, guys, I'm already in the system. Check your files. I don't know if that would work today. Everything's done on computers. Back in 1972, nothing was. It was all on typewriters and scrolls and one of those big feather quill pens. Probably. Number 11, enlist anytime. Okay, this seems like technically a good way to avoid the draft. You wouldn't be drafted if you were actually just enlisted. But yeah, if you completed a military service obligation, you wouldn't be forced to re-enter the military. So maybe that'll work for some of my friends who have served in the past. All right, so that's the end of the list. We don't know what the future's going to hold. Things are kind of shaky right now, I guess. And a lot of people are worried about this. And so I just wanted to provide a list of ways that you might be able to finagle yourself out of a sticky situation. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, if you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe. Otherwise, if you hated it, you can off and thumbs down.